Well, hi guys and girls, we are back in the kitchen, don't tell the wife, and this time no maggots, pellets, and more specifically micro pellets. Now, micro pellets, 2mm pellets, call them what you wish, I call them both, and they are standard fare on commercials, summer and winter, and method feeder fishing, margin fishing, skimmer fishing, etc, etc. Fish absolutely love micro pellets. So I'm going to show you 3 ways of preparing them, plus a few bits and bobs all about them. And yeah, without further ado, let's roll the sleeves up and prepare our pellets perfectly. Every no, it doesn't work, does it? Oh well. Anyway, let's get going. Right, let's roll our sleeves up and have a closer look at pellets. First things first, a quality pellet. Now, there are 2 main producers of micro pellets that fishery pellets and that tend to use, and that's Skrettings and Coppins. And most sensible fisheries will use what I class as a Skrettings variety, which is nice, small, quite dark micro pellets. If you've got slightly bigger, more bloated, very pale pellets, they tend to be the Coppins variety, and for me they're absolutely useless, they just go to mush. So do a couple of trials if you're not sure. If your pellets go to a complete mush, they'll probably be Coppins, and forget it. Have a word with your fishery and get them to buy some decent pellets. But wherever I'm allowed to use my own pellets, and what I use, I have absolute 100% faith in Fin Perfect 2mm micros. They're a really no-nonsense pellet. And importantly for me, they haven't changed in consistency ever since I've been using them. So a real quality pellet is the most important thing. And all I'm going to do today is going to be based around a sort of Skrettings variety pellet or a decent quality micro pellet like this one. Okay? Let's start with the easy peasy way, and it's the way, if in doubt, or if I haven't got much time, or I've just arrived at my peg, haven't had any time to prepare my pellets, then this is what we do. So we've got some pellets there. Let's chip a few more in. Let's put a few more in. Right, that's it. So there we are. We've got our micro pellets. There's about, what, no, half a pint, 2/3 of a pint there. Get them in a big tub, tip them in, and then just slosh a load of water in. Doesn't matter how much water, because you're going to tip it off. So that's it. They're all soaked up like that. And then all you have to do now is wait, well, 2, 3, 4 minutes. Doesn't matter too much. But don't leave them in there covered in water more than sort of 5 or 10 minutes. And then we're going to drain the water off, and that'll be it. They'll be done. So whilst we're waiting for them to soak, I'll tell you what, I fancy a cup of tea. Lovely jubbly. There's our tea. Oh, that one's already got some milk in that cup. This one hasn't. Oh well, never mind. Let's pour that in then. Milk's gone in first for that one. Right to the brim. Lovely. And then that one. Lovely. Let's pop some milk in, which we've got here. Oh, just right. Just the right amount. So there. Let's squeeze the old tea bag. Got to give it a squeeze. Don't want it too weak, do we? And then give that one a nice squeeze and a stir. Alright, let's take that one out. And we'll pop that in that jug, shall we? And take this one out. Nice cup of tea. We'll come back to that and have a nice cup of char later. Right, there's the pellets. They've been soaking probably about 5 minutes now. Now, all I do now is strain them off. Now, you could use a pellet wetter. I personally don't see the need for one more item of tackle to bring with me. You could use a sieve or a fine mesh landing net, but I just use my hand or another bait tub. Doesn't matter. And all we're doing is just draining off the pellets. Don't have to get every single last bit of water off. That's it, all drained off. Done. Right. There's all the water we've drained off. I've lost about, what's that, 20 micro pellets gone through. So, like I say, no need for a strainer, a dedicated strainer for this. So there we are. And now what I'll do now is just leave them alone. And in sort of 20 minutes, they'll all have soaked up nicely, softened all the way through. Still got a bit of tackiness for squeezing around a method feeder or squeezing into balls, and they'll be good to go. So yeah, 20-30 minutes, bosh, they'll be right as rain. And all you might have to do is just add a little dash of water. Now what I generally do, I always have a tub of water on my side, and I'll just wet my hands and I'll run a wet hand through. That's normally enough. But some people use an atomizer, and I do have an atomizer, but generally I just wet my hands and run my wet hands through. That's normally enough just to get them to the right texture. I spilled some there. Don't tell anyone. So that's the easy way of preparing micros. As soon as you get to your peg in the morning, they'll be ready in an hour and perfect. But let's show you another alternative, which has to be done the night before, but it's also a nice little option and a slightly different texture of pellet at the end of it. Shh, don't tell anyone. You didn't see this, all right? Right, so that was the easy peasy method, and I'm going to show you a method to do them overnight, what I call the bag method. So first things first, make sure your bag has got no holes in. So blow a little hole in and just check, because you don't want any water escaping from your bag in your fridge that your partner doesn't know you put your pellets in the fridge. So yeah, this is the bag method, and that's an airtight bag. Happy days. Right, so we've got some pellets there. All I'm going to do is glug them with water again until they're just poking through. So just flatten them a bit. So see, it's just gone. So it's like just poking through. So there's only enough water to cover them. You see that? It's not gone above the level of the pellets. So that's it. They're all wet. And all I'm going to do is tip them in the bag. There we are. Lovely. And there we are. You could do this by eye, but I tend to find you get just the right amount if you do them in a tub and then pop them in a bag. So that's it. Now, you could bag these up really tight, and then they will soak all the way through and not expand too much. But for this method, I like to put a bit of air in the bag. So we just give them a bit of air, turn the bag, keep the air in, whack a little knot in it. There we are. And then just pop them in the fridge like that. Now, every now and again, if I get time, I'll just shake them up a little bit, and that'll just disperse them a little bit and agitate them a little bit. But that's all we'll do. We'll pop them in the fridge like that, and then by the morning, what happens is they'll be all soft and spongy all the way through, perfectly soaked. And what I tend to find when you do the fridge method is they lose a bit of their tackiness. So they're very soft and spongy, but they don't squeeze together too tightly. They always want to keep expanding and expanding when you squeeze them together. So they're great for popping in a pellet feeder. They're great for popping in a hybrid style feeder. But I wouldn't personally use this method if I'm going to mould them with like a method mould or your hands around a method feeder, or if I want to squeeze them into hard balls to get down on the pole or anything. So, but if you want nice spongy pellets, then overnight in a poly bag is the way. So we'll pop them in the fridge and we'll come back to them another time. Some nice sausages one of the guys I coach gave me. So we'll pop them next to the sausages, behind the sausages, and then no one's any the wiser. I've just popped them back out of the fridge just to give them another shake and agitation. And what I will say as well, you can, if you've made up too much micro pellets for your session and or you've got loads left over, you can bag them up and put them in the fridge and they'll last a few days like that. But what I will say is they will lose all their stickiness completely. They'll just be a bloated pellet that won't stick. So that's fine if you're going to whack them down the edge or something like that. But don't expect to use old pellets around a method feeder. They'll lose all their stickiness in my experience. So yes, you can keep your pellets, your leftover pellets, but if you want to use them for a method feeder, always try and do them fresh. Yep, it tastes exactly the same. Right, so that's two nice easy peasy ways of preparing pellets. I'm going to show you my favourite way of preparing pellets, and it's specifically for venues where there's a strict bait limit. But it's also a really nice way of preparing pellets anyway. They come out really, really nice. So I fish venues where you've got a strict bait limit, say 8 pints or something, maybe. So I have to measure out all my bait quantities. And obviously you can't take more than that to your peg. So I will say I need 2 pints of micros. What I do, I have two of these 1 pint bait tubs, and I put a pint in each, and that's my bait sorted then as far as the micro pellets go. So, but I really do like preparing pellets this way. So I filled the tub almost to the brim, just a couple of mils short, And then what I do, and I generally only do this to one of my pints, and I'll prepare the other mid-match or first when I get to my peg if I think I'm going to need more. It stops me wasting my bait as well. So and all I'm doing is filling it with water until you can just see the water creeping through. That's it. So you can just see that water now. It's just popping through. If I just crouch down, you can see it's just popped through. There we are. So that's our pint of micros and some water. And then, just spilling more pellets again. Coffee grains, shall we say. And then, all I'm going to do is pop the lid on. And then that's it. I generally do this first thing in the morning, just before setting off. But you could do it at your peg if you've got enough time. But I think it takes about an hour for these to be right. So yeah, first thing in the morning, whilst you're loading the van or whatever, by the time you get to by the time you've drawn and got to your peg and the match is ready, half hour before the start, I'll look at these and I know they'll be perfect. They don't have to be in a fridge or anything like that. They're perfect like this. They'll swell up a little bit, but they're still in that pint tub, and it won't explode or anything. You'll be surprised. What they'll do, they'll just sort of set into a nice tight block, and all you have to do then is basically gouge them out with your hands and they'll fluff up lovely. But I'll show you that again a bit later. So we just pop those ones to one side, and these ones that I did first, this is the first lot I did. They're softening up nicely. Still not quite right, but they're getting their tackiness. They just need to swell up just a little bit more. So I always think sort of 20-30 minutes they're generally about right then. And but yeah, they're getting there. Nice micro pellets. There's the old sausages. There's our, I'll just swap them up like that. Pop them back in. I just periodically do that if I remember. It's not the end of the world if you don't. But make sure you hide them behind everything so the partner cannot see them. Just got these out of the fridge and opened them. So I don't know if you probably can't tell, but I can tell that they are really fully expanded, shall we say, and they're quite spongy. So yes, you can squeeze them into a ball, but they break down much faster, and they don't stick together anything like as easily. So the longer you leave them in the fridge before you fish them, the more stickiness they'll lose. So very good for certain situations, being nice and spongy. You could feed dry micros, and they do pop and fizz and everything, but it's not the done thing. But maybe that's something we should be doing, but that's maybe a thought for another day. But in the main, we always soften micro pellets for feeding. But yeah, don't be scared to feed dry micros. They will float for a little bit and then sink. But I have seen people in the past feeding dry micros with a bit of success, but maybe that's a subject for another day. So yeah, the next thing I just want to say is if you do like to colour or flavour your pellets, do it to the water before you add the water. So I really like this Scopex bait booster, or the Power Scopex one. It turns them a little bit yellow as well, but what you find with most of these is I don't ever overdo it. I don't want them overpowered. I just want a nice sort of just a boost, shall we say. So what you tend to find with a lot of these, especially the more syrupy ones, they don't disperse in the water until you agitate them. So make sure you agitate that water first. So that's all perfectly distributed, and then pour that onto your pellets. So very simple, but a lot of people make that mistake. But do it before. You can add waters and syrups and things after you've wetted your pellets, but then you are changing their consistency. So I'd rather get the consistency right from the beginning, and then there's no messing then. Now all these ways I've been explaining are just so they're just right and usable from the off, so that you can squeeze them into balls, you can put them around a feeder and everything like that. If you're just going to slosh them in down the edge, margin fishing, then I tend to think the wetter the pellet the better. And I don't mind if they make a bit of a cloud. In fact, the cloud can actually attract the fish. And I tend to find if they're too solid, they're less attractive. So a mushier pellet can often be good in sort of less than 2 foot of water when you're margin fishing. And if you've got no intention of method feeder fishing or squeezing them into balls or anything like that, then just simply get some pellets. We'll use some of these that we've already soaked up. like that. We'll come back to them again when they're right. And just slosh on a load of water. That's it. Just leave them. And that'll mostly soak up. You can drain off a little bit of water if they're too sloppy, but I've got no problem sloshing them in like that. So the wetter the better for down the margins. The easiest way of doing them. But by doing them my way, you can prepare them just right, and then you can put another half to one side, and you can over wet them if you need to. So there's no going back when you've gone to this. Whereas when you've done them nicely like this, you can get them exactly how you want on the bank within minutes. So it's been a good 45 minutes or so. Let's have a look at this first like we've done and just fluff them up. And there we are, absolutely perfect now. They are absolutely bang on for going around a method feeder, but they'll still break down nicely, and but not over wet. You can just do a lot with them. So, but very nice and appealing. And so let's pop some in a glass just to see what they do. And squeeze a little nugget. Pop them in the. There we are. Let's have a look. See what they do. They'll just break down nicely. Perfect. Exactly how I want them. So let's see what the mushy ones won. The ones I really overwetted. Look, they just go a bit stodgier. You can see all that extra water in them. And they should be a bit cloudier. Oh, another glass of water here. Just spilt. Let's just plop some in. Yeah. Break down straight away. Obviously nice and heavy, sink like a brick. But also a little bit of sediment coming off as well. So yeah, and you can obviously, you can just mush a few up in your hands just to make it a little bit more cloud if you want. So nice mushy pellets. That's for margin fishing. Nice and heavy, and a little bit of sediment coming off as well, just for a bit of extra attraction when you're pole fishing. Right, it's been about an hour, maybe 90 minutes. So let's have a look at my 1 pint tub. So that always feels heavy and solid. So it's surprising how heavy it is once you've added that bit of water. But as we'll get a big tub to tip it into. But if I take the lid off carefully, it should just be a solid block. There'll be an odd drawing on the top, a very, very odd one. But look, it's just a solid block, and spilling a very, very odd one here. So to get them out, basically you just gouge them out or fluff them out. So what I'll do, that's it, lovely. So that's half of them out. You can see how it looks. It's like almost goes like a cake really. And look how many pellets you get, and just fluff them up, and they are absolutely perfect. So you might want to add a tiny dash of water if they're not quite the consistency that you want. But in my experience, they just bang on straight out of the tub. But look how much they fluff up. 1 pint of pellets fluffs up to all of that. So, and I've still got a good half at least still in the tub. Quite often I'll just leave that alone, pop that back in the cool bag so it doesn't go off or anything. And then you've got this to play around with on a nice hot day. And then you can obviously dip into this tub a bit later and gouge some more out. So, but yeah, loads of 1 pint of pellets, all fluffed up, and there we are. We've got getting on for 2 pints once they're nicely soaked, but they were all compact inside that 1 pint bait tub. So that's a lovely way of getting your pellets just right. And it's just foolproof, it just works. If you get a good Scretton's variety pellet or a decent quality Fin Perfect pellets like what I've been using, then they just work dead right. And then these are perfect for going around a method. And it's a way of not wasting your pellets as well. So literally just a pint of pellets will create enough for most 5-hour matches I'm fishing lately. But yeah, that's easily one of my favourite ways of doing these pellets. Well, I think I've earned myself a cup of tea. Which one's which? So we'll go with that one. So there we are, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed that. Happy pellet fishing. And if you want even more stuff on top of what I already do for free, then check out my members area where there's live matches, sessions, lots more bait tips and tricks and all sorts of stuff on there as well, and that's just £2.99 a month. But until next time, I'll see you again, maybe in the kitchen, maybe on the bank, who knows. So that's our little secret, and no one is any the wiser.